Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets innovation. We're not just about shows, we're about shaping society. In Jamaica, TV keeps you informed, connects diverse voices, and supports democracy. Imagine a Jamaica where broadcasters unite, sharing data and collaborating globally. That's us, a unified voice in the TV industry. Did you know TV advertising is still king? It drives website traffic, boosts brand equity, and powers integrated campaigns. Even in an age of digital, TV stands strong, resilient in tough times. Our global TV deck is your treasure trove of insights and data. With charts, graphs, and success stories, it's your guide to impactful TV advertising. Curious to learn more? Visit our website and see how Global TV Group 358 keeps television at the heart of entertainment in Jamaica. Get ready to binge watch the future.
For me again, you can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't for me again. Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and I resort to cry. You can't for me again.
What we gonna eat no money, what we at you, eat no at you. Covid money, miss away in the year little rat you. Use the youth, the money, waste and bust a man to statue. Say me like a cash, but bigger than a figure you. Take the spit of money, girl, and say that it's not you. On the head, the man above him, him a got a bet too much. It in the kitchen, some a fly by like a patu. When singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me.
300% raise.
It burn me.
Garbage pile of the day.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me.
I see corruption face.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't for me again. Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and I resort to crime. You can't for me again.
Come me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The 100 promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, them rough and they down in our river. Member bold money and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me.
Or they treat the market man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the cat man.
It burn me.
Or they treat the peanut man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the dirt man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the son man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat policeman.
It burn me.
Or them a treat soldier man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat everyone.
Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't for me again. Can't for me again. You can't.
Stevie dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no cape. And some informer friend we love lake. We in Global, but a fake friend and but a thief. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for. We in Global TV, check it.
The attorney, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, now convicted criminal Maricia Dalwilper Filbert must resign. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Welcome to the Global Television Group. Lovely to have your support as always. It looks as if there's a lot of game being played in the Mr. Bold fraud saga that we will get into. To my community of party and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, via subscribers, commenters, and trolls, good evening and welcome to Global Television. Thank you all for joining us. Lovely to have your support as always. Like and share the live, please. Noel Thomas, Debbie Jervis, TV. Good evening, Beverly. Good evening, Marcia Thomas. Ivan Bradford. Gloria Morris. Beat and Teach. Good evening, good evening. Josette Williams is a screen. Good evening, everyone. Who else? They're here. RJ, good evening. Empress Deb. Andrea Joan Hamilton Wilson, JP. Colin Darmer, good evening. Zenet Beckford, good evening. Kate M. Carlene Richards. Celine Browning, good evening, all, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Dorel McKennis, Carl Lewis. I will answer your question shortly, Carl. Michael, Ayan, I call you all different names. Nicola, Tony, Juliet Lane, Hamad, George, good evening and welcome. EM, good evening and welcome. How are you? Now, Carl on TikTok asked me a question. What's the difference between Isaac Buchanan and Maricia Dalrymple Filbert? And that I will clear up for him. Now, it is clear to all of us, it's not a secret to anyone, that Isaac Buchanan had 2 previous convictions. Within the criminal justice system, you have what is called the offender's rehabilitation. It is an act of parliament. What that does, after spending your sentence, there is still time after you are released from prison where, say for instance, you go to prison for say like 6 years. After you come back from that 6 years, you still have on your criminal conviction what is called an unspent conviction, because the fact that your prison sentence may have finished does not mean the convicted time has passed. So after you, say if you get 6 years in prison, you probably have another 3 years where the conviction is unspent. After a conviction is unspent, then during the time when your conviction is spent, you do not have to report it when it unspent when you're filling out any form for application or anything of such, or for visa or whatever, you must report it. After it become unspent, you do not have to report it. It's like you've never committed that crime. Isaac from the time has committed crime and gone to prison, come out, gone to law school, went to the bar and everything. He would have gone through a whole chain of rehabilitation before he comes into representational politics. Now, you have Maricia Dalrymple Filbert. What's the difference between Maricia case? Is an existing case. Maricia Dalrymple Filbert committed these offenses as a member of parliament and speaker of the House. She resigned for that matter. She was before the court. She have now pled guilty. In law, Maricia Dalrymple Filbert is a convicted criminal, which must be declared on any of those things Maricia Dalrymple Filbert is doing. Thereby, it is not ethical for Maricia to continue in her position because she is a convicted criminal. Yes, you may say Isat is a convicted criminal. He has rehabilitated and spent. We cannot say rehabilitation for Maricia. You may argue the word remorse because she might have said sorry in front of the court or things like that. But she has paid, she's been ordered to pay a fine, and that fine will have a spent and unspent time on it. So for this time, she should recuse herself from representational politics, as well as the General Legal Counsel ought to tell us if there's any measures that they will be taking against the now convicted criminal Maricia Dalrymple Filbert. So I hope that clear up your question. Kathy, how are you doing? How are you? Cliff Hughes, we see Bolt lawyer come out today and said Cliff Hughes is but a mouthful of fluff. Cliff Hughes, I work hard for what we don't know. But you can tell Usain Bolt lawyer was just telling Cliff Hughes that your information is false, it is baseless, and without any credibility. What Mr. Bolt lawyer is saying, Nationwide has no credibility. Nationwide publish false and baseless information. And we can see it from a lot of the things that we see Nationwide do. It's more of a JLP narrative than actual journalism, which is far from what Cliff Hughes really does. But let us listen to Dean Jackson Miller's side of the story on the Dr. Bolt issue before we get further into anything of this sort.
So it was just over 2 years ago in January 2023 that the Gleaner broke the story that Jamaica's track legend Usain Bolt was one of over 20 customers of a company called Stocks.
When she gets to the Paula Llewellyn part, I want you to take careful note of that as well.
And Securities Limited, SSL, who'd been robbed as part of this elaborate fraudulent scheme that at the time we were hearing amounted to over $1 billion Jamaican dollars. Since then,
well, Carl, you would have to change the law in the
what's up with the investigation? Is the matter going to be coming to trial? Where is Bolt's money? Just the other day, I spoke with Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, to get an update on what's happening with the criminal case. I'm going to be bringing you up to date on that. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Deon Jackson Miller. Time for tea. So this was big news, all right? And I'm sure a lot of you were aware of or probably following the story. The Gleaner called it a massive fraud and one of the largest heists in Jamaica's financial sector. And really and truly, this is documentary stuff. And maybe one day you'll see a documentary about it on my channel. What do you think? Interested in that? Let me know below, all right? So the question is, what's been happening in the 2 years since this story broke, right? Where are we now? And what's happened to the money from Usain Bolt and the other investors? So first of all, some people, I've seen complaints from some people in terms of how this story has been reported. You know, I'm seeing comments like, so it's only Bolt get robbed and why we're focusing so much on Bolt and what to the other people them in a case. So let me say this. Now, first of all, this whole thing is horrible. Right? I cannot even imagine the kind of distress people are suffering. And some of the people involved in this are elderly people who don't have time to recoup whatever it is they've lost. So that in itself is just tragic. All right. And the amount of money stolen here over a period of time, over about a decade, we're hearing, and the number of people affected. Yes, all of that makes the story big news. But the fact that Bolt has been involved now puts the story into a whole different stratosphere people. Come on, we're talking about Usain Bolt, king of track and field, world record holder, and one of the most likable people in track and field. Everybody like Usain. Even now that he's retired, people still want to know what Bolt is up to, what's happening with his business ventures, his music, remember when him did decide to play football, what's happening with his babies, his families. Somebody like Bolt, people are just following everything that happens to him. If a button drop in a world championship relay, all Bolt have to do a post, Jaja, and everybody at all, boy, you see what Bolt say. He just continues to be very, very influential. Anyway, the point I'm making is that when you have somebody who is very well known, not just here in Jamaica, but all around the world, the story gets bigger and the reporting does tend to be focused on that person. In this case, Usain Bolt. So this story blew up from the start the way it did because Bolt was involved. And trust me, that's a good thing, right? It means the story was being covered all around the world. It means the authorities were under pressure.
Oh, you can
to
go
make
and
sure
read the
something
Jamaica
happened.
papers.
And it
You can
means,
go
of
and read the
course, that
Integrity
the
Commission.
media wouldn't forget the story. So just about a month after the story
Or
first
ask
broke, so
her
this
why
was in
she pled
February
guilty.
2023, remember, we heard somebody
That would be
had
easier.
been
Ask
charged.
Miss E why
This
she pled
somebody was
guilty.
Jean Ann Panton, who was one of SSL's investment advisors. What the Financial Investigation Division told us at the time, they said they had a joint investigation.
I hope you're not saying here, Carl, that the People's National Party cooked up her charge and forced her to plead guilty, because it's not the court here that found Marissa Dalrymple-Filbert's guilty. She actually pled guilty. So maybe you want to ask Marissa, what has she done to plead guilty for? Please, sir, don't know say me extremely bright, so don't feel come here come play dunce. Please don't do it. I'm an extremely bright person. You coming to ask me what Marissa Dalrymple-Filbert have done. You were on the 10,000 ton of rock for the last year or two or so.
Ongoing with the police fraud squad. They said Panton had been charged with breaches of the Larceny Act, the Proceeds of Crime Act, the Forgery Act, and the Cyber Crimes Act. So she had allegedly signed a confession, and she said she used various mechanisms to take money from clients, that she created false statements because people are getting statements, remember, that said the money was in their account and growing. And those statements were false. Now, the FID, Financial Investigation Division, said at the time that this was a really complex case. And they said it was complex because of the number of accounts, the types of accounts, the number and types of transactions, the fact that this had been going on for over a decade. Then now in December 2023, we got another update from the Financial Investigation Division. Again, they said the complexity of the investigation can't be understated. They said they were investigating matters going right back to the inception, the start of SSL in 2006. And at the time, they said the evidence was showing that over 200 accounts had been affected, and that what they called a staggering amount exceeding 30 million US dollars had been defrauded, right? Now, Bolt alone is reported to have lost 12 million US dollars. And that, folks, is over $1 billion Jamaican, if my calculations are right. So let me tell you what we know right now. Because people have been asking, hold on, can't she want to do this? Has she want to keep so much money? Nobody else not involved. What is going to be happening? And I spoke to former Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, in October 2024, his very last day in office as Finance Minister. And I asked him about the SSL thing because, finance is his ministry and so on. And this is what he said. He said, what I've not been satisfied with is the pace at which that has moved. He said, we have investigators, police, a DPP, courts. All of those are independent authorities. I can't instruct. He said this is not a criticism, but he said he had one opportunity to pour out his heart. He said, I feel hurt and disappointed that I've put that effort in. I've taken major risk in getting forensic auditors from the United Kingdom to do a massive investigation. And he said that file had been put to the DPP from late 2023. Nothing has come of it, and people are looking and wondering what's going on. He said, I've done my part. So a few days ago, folks, I caught up with Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, and asked her for an update on this. First of all, she never happy when she hear what Dr. Clark did office say. She said it was unfortunate he hadn't contacted her office for an update, and this is what she said. She said, perhaps due to an excess of enthusiasm or youthful exuberance, some of the investigators may have had amnesia when advising members of the public or even Mr. Clark as to what's been happening. You know, say Paula not talk with water in her mouth. She said, by the way, that her office had set up an SSL task force just to deal with this case, headed by a senior prosecutor, Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, the person who deals with financial crime in her office, and that it has 4 lawyers on that task force. Now, she says her office wrote to the investigators on October 23, 2024. She said it's an extremely voluminous exercise which sent a letter indicating all of the matters outstanding. She said it seems there are some investigators who thought by waving a magic wand and speaking it into being that they had enough to go before the courts. But she said since we are the ones saddled with prosecuting cases of this nature to the required standard of beyond a reasonable doubt, and we're not in this thing to get a sound bite, we have to make sure, especially in a complex matter like this, that we have adequate information. So she said there were 12 things that were still needed from the investigators. And she said the FID wrote back to them in December 30, 2024, about the 12 things. She also said there's one that is absolutely critical. And she said what she's been told is that the investigators have had to go through hundreds of boxes on material from SSL to find this critical thing. She said at the office of the DPP, they've already prepared a draft legal opinion. She says about 40 pages, waiting for her to sign off on it. But she says her prosecutors know how detailed and thorough she is, and that they're also detailed and thorough. So she says there is a yawning gap, legally speaking, in the opinion that can only be covered by getting the critical documentation from the FID. And she said that is what they're waiting on. She said they have got some of the 12 things, but not this particular critical document. And of course, she wouldn't tell me exactly what that was. She said, we will not die on the altar of expedience to give others a soundbite. She said, we answer to the public interest. She said her deputy, who is in charge of financial crimes, did some research as to what happens in the USA in terms of matters of a similar nature, and that they found that the average in some areas is 5 years from the time of the offense to the time it goes to court. And she went on to say, we do not run a patty shop and we are not a banana republic, so we can only ask for patience. So the DPP is saying, look, things are still outstanding. There's one in particular that's critical, and until they get it, they can't deliver the ruling as to whether or not anybody else should be charged. So that's it for the status of the criminal investigation and whether anybody else is going to be charged. Answer is, right now we don't know. What about the money though? So here's the thing, the company was being wound up, meaning it was being closed because of all the shenanigans, right? And in April 2024, we did get an update from the finance ministry. So this is what they had said at the time, that assets in the company were being transferred to clients. But of course, those are the assets that they never thief. And the finance minister said none of the 200 accounts reportedly affected by the SSL fraud have recovered any part of what was lost due to the fraud. And they said for their part, for the government to try to help to recover money, they said there's a process, right, that comes under Jamaica's Proceed of Crimes Act that would be done by the Financial Investigation Division. They call this a benefit investigation, and they said that can only start, listen to this, after criminal convictions. But they said civil proceedings are open to aggrieved parties, meaning the people who lost money, and can be started at any time. All right, so just a couple of things here. The government agency can't start asset recovery until after people are charged, after you have a trial, after you have not just a trial, but convictions. Now, remember, they keep telling us this is a very complex case. Just one person arrested so far. And we have to see, as I was saying, if anybody else is going to be charged, then you have to have the whole trial process starting, getting underway, trial, and a conviction has to be had. Now, We're talking, I think, several years at least, and I'm probably being generous. This is going to go on for a while. But individual investors can sue, and we do know that Bolt's lawyers have been active. They've been busy filing documents in court. Now, they're understandably keeping a low profile on this. We're not going to know much about what is going on, I think, until things get a little bit further. We do know at least one other lawsuit has been brought against Panton, as well as 9 others by another investor, Gene Ford.
You never get any loans. You don't need to buy, fix up, and renovate homes.
Remember, though, if you're talking about suing somebody to get back your money, there are a whole heap of considerations here. Who are you suing? Are you suing an individual employee? Are you suing the company? What if the company no longer exists? What if the assets that are there aren't enough for you to get back your money? And are you actually suing the right people? Are you suing the people actually responsible? So winning is one thing, but getting back your money is another thing. So does a person have assets or entity have assets that can be seized to pay a judgment debt, which is a debt that incurs, say you win a lawsuit and the court say, all right, A must pay B $50, B $7 money, but B has a car, you can seize the car and get it sold. There's a process for all of that to get back your $50. You know, can that happen? Critically, what kind of proof, what kind of evidence do you have to win your case? Remember, we keep hearing how complex this is. Where are you going to get those documents from? That's why in a lot of times in cases like this, the civil cases, the lawsuits might be put on hold until after the criminal cases have been brought by the state, because the government agencies have the resources to bring forward that evidence and that documentation. Then now, if you get convictions in the criminal cases, civil cases can piggyback on top of that. So we just have to wait and see how the various lawyers and people involved are going to proceed here. So the story isn't over, not even close. And the answer to the question I asked, and that we've all been asking, where's Bolt's money, is that right now we don't know. The answer has to come from something called tracing, meaning following the money, figuring out where it went, what channels it went through. And we know the authorities are doing that type of work right now. And that is information that would come out in the cases when they go to court, as we're all hoping they will. So there's a lot in this story, all right? I'll be following it. I'll be keeping you up to date on.
Right, that's Dion Jackson Miller update on the story. This morning, Mr. Bolt put out a statement on X that his attorney put out. I will see if I can mumble through it for you, because you know me, I know good with fine writings. Are they right on that? I think so, yeah. I don't good with fine writings, so I never mind it's on a black background, so I have to go struggle my way through it. The allegation has been circled in the public that not all Mr. Bolt's money, all Mr. Bolt's funds that were sent to the Stocks and Security Limited were received by the institution are false, baseless, and entirely without credibility. All funds lodged at SSL by Mr. Bolt Company were transferred by a bank transaction, and each and every payment was acknowledged by the institution in writing. Furthermore, Mr. Ken Tomlinson, who was appointed by the Financial Services Commission to take temporary management of SSL, found record confirming these lodgement and has attested to them in the Supreme Court. Therefore, any suggestion that funds from Mr. Bolt's company, Wellgen Limited, did not reach SSL is inaccurate and without merit. Cliff Hughes, I hope you're listening. But you would have read this today. But we have to talk to you, because we know when it come to going on your knee and go scrub floor for your tax money, Cliff, you would do it, but we want with tax money, regardless of where you want to walk on tax. We, the people of Jamaica, want with tax money. The notion that Mr. Bolt was negligent in making these deposits is entirely unfounded. The Prime Minister of Jamaica, the government of Jamaica, and hundreds of citizens invested in SSL, an institution which was approved and regulated by the government. To suggest that Mr. Bolt was careless or lacked proper financial management is to imply the same about every Jamaican who has invested in a government approved financial institution. Before we continue reading, this is where I must address Venetia Phillips once more. You asked the question, did the government directly or indirectly advise you, or whatever the phrase you use, to advise in SSL? Let me answer the question for you tonight. Yes. The market, the economy works based on confidence. Papine, police, bike. And if the Jamaica government is investing in a financial firm, it is therefore suggesting to the rest of the nation that it is safe, indirectly advising us it is safe to do so, because us, the government, with your taxpayers' money, have also invested in this. So I hope that answer your question and give you the perspective you're seeking from Mr. Bolt. Additionally, the Financial Service Commission issued SSL an annual license to operate as a financial institution, Nigel Clark. Every citizen have the right to rely on a government entity that is responsible for assessing and regulating such institution. Let's go on, hold on. How are the next one there? Hold on. Right. Bear with. Additionally, the Financial Services Commission issued. Oh no, we read that already. There's now appear to be an organized effort to shift blame onto the Honorable Dr. Hussein Bolt for his loss, when he is guilty of nothing more than investing in the country he loves. This is a textbook case of victim blaming. Venetia Phillips, Andrew Holness, Cliff Hughes, and George Davis. And it appears to be an attempt to absolve the government of its failure to protect the public and those defrauded in SSL. Because you remember Mr. McFarlane, who heads the SSA, the FSC rather, sent a report to Nigel Clark that stayed on Nigel Clark's desk and grow cobweb, even though it appears that Nigel Clark gave Andrew Holness insider information, because shortly after there, the Prime Minister withdrew his investment from SSL. An investment that probably wouldn't have been mature to the time where he took it out. But when Mr. McFarlane spoke the truth, do you remember what happened to Mr. McFarlane? When Nigel Clark denied to us that he had no such knowledge, And Mr. McFarlane reassured us that I have sent the report to the Ministry of Finance, to Dr. Nigel Clark. They fired Mr. McFarlane immediately. What the government and its cohorts do after they take over receivership of SSL, they allowed it to be robbed. You know whose laptop was robbed? The chief financial officer. Continue reading, you're not done yet. Even more concerning is the apparent attempt to silence victims and manipulate Cliff Hughes, manipulate narrative about who is truly responsible for the large-scale fraud Cliff Hughes. You know what I'm calling that word there, you know? For some reason or another, Cliff Hughes don't want to use the word fraud when it comes to SSL. I wonder why. Which has left hundreds of Jamaicans without their hard-earned money and no clear path to recovery. Finally, the government had announced that it invited experts from the United States and the United Kingdom to conduct audit and investigation into the operation. One may ask, is the government leaking information from an investigation and waiting to go in front of the court to their favorite radio station? Cliff Hughes. The result of these audit and investigation have not been shared with Mr. Bolt or his attorney. However, based on reporting circulating in the media, I'm adding this part to the letter at Nationwide News, it appears that part of the investigation are being shared with concerned media house, i.e., Nationwide and Cliff Hughes and John Davis and CBN, including what purport to be information touching and concerning our client account at SSL, information that is confidential and entitled to protection under the Data Protection Act and others. We are currently reviewing some of these statements that have been made and will advise our client on legal actions available to him. I am Linton P. Gordon, attorney at law. Mr. Bolt, ready if you take the street, you know, sir? Mr. Bolt, we the people are ready to take the street. Because if you remember in Dan Jackson Miller's piece, Paula Llewellyn weren't quite ready. Paula Llewellyn was saying, we looked at the international brouhaha, and things like these could take up to 5 years. Violet Watson, the easy jerk, how you do? But ever since they've launched an attack on Mr. Bolt, Paula told the Gleaner today that she's ready to go to trial. So maybe the boxes and boxes and boxes that Fid was searching through to find that one concerned piece of document, Sharon Bernard, that the DPP was waiting on. Given that sometime last year, the leader of the opposition told us in Parliament, I think it was at the budget debate, that he's aware of Fid wanting to make reference for more people to be charged in the SSL fraud. But the knowledge he has is that these people are being blocked by the DPP. Hurry up 9 months or 8 or whatever we have left. Go on, Paula, go on. You don't see, say, The whole government now I try to come down upon Mr. Bolt, and I have all sort of confusion, narrative, and warfare, victim blaming at Mr. Bolt. Listen, there's more of us than there are of you. Nationwide, Andrew Holness, Paula Llewellyn, and the Labour supporters were walk around, come here watching upon Fimi and all other pages on a walk around and ask some bullshit question. Labour supporters, I'm speaking to Una directly. You're all to be ashamed of yourself. You're all to be ashamed of yourself if you can tolerate this behavior. 7 months left. Thanks, Mansa Musa. If Ono can tolerate this behavior amongst one away, how would you feel if you invested billions of your money in Jamaica dollars in your country? Mr. Bolt could have go invest abroad and would have talk when white and when this, but Mr. Bolt invested in his country. How would you feel if what happened to Mr. Bolt happened to you? But no, somehow no, was happy when Andrew Holness on the find all sort of excuse when Andrew Holness went and bucked down poor people house off of Clifton Lodge. And as an answer to this story, we don't know bad mind, conniving Jamaicans and Labour Party supporters and women, because I only lead the charge for bullshit most of the time, you know. Women. A lot of women are somehow lead the charge for bullshit. Congratulations to Mackerel, the best success story of 2025. Hope I kill these people up on TikTok. When you want to find careless people, go over TikTok. But what I see other women did to Mackerel over our success story, it shows you why we cannot get anywhere as a people. Because we don't celebrate nobody. We tear down everybody. And this is what the Jamaica Labour Party and supporters is doing to Usain Bolt at the moment. Tear down the youth because him asks for justice. Uno should have shame on yourself, Jamaica Labour Party. Uno despicable, uno deplorable rather. Uno should have shame on yourself. And then uno go on like uno have children. Uno go on like uno love uno children. Uno care for uno children. But would you want your child to be held at gunpoint and robbed and nobody is responsible, or then the whole on turn around and tell him, say, it's your fault? Labour Party, you know, disgraceful. You know, always dog shit, but you know, still dog shit now. You know, have always had a dog shit mentality, Jamaica Labour Party. But you know, turn still dog shit now. With this behavior, the way home is all stretch out pussy harlot like Venetia Phillips. Girl, if I catch you, fit chew, still piss in your face. Because somehow you don't make no sense in no liquor. You don't need to get wet with steel piss. You know Jamaica Labour Party people. You know drunk run dog shit. You know behavior define drunk run dog shit. Because if you cannot carry on like this with a victim, you people are behaving like the judges who asked the woman who was raped, what were you fucking wearing? Fed up on a Jamaica Labour Party because on the last on humanity. On the last on humanity for power of party, something one not get no benefit out of. Because JC Hutchison tell we say on the Labour supporters don't value more than $5,000. Yes, may have evidence, Bridget said Andrew stole Bolt money. I do have the evidence. Do you want to come and pull it out of my hand? If Andrew didn't steal Bolt money, who else steal it? All these money that Andrew cannot justify, where did Andrew get them from? Until Andrew can justify his money, where the Integrity Commission cannot sign off on, then until then I Bolt money. That's my evidence. It may not make sense to you, it makes sense to me. Until Andrew can tell we when get their money there from, when can't talk, when get it from. Yes, Andrew work at SSL and Andrew thief at SSL and Andrew thief in a parliament. Yes, he work at all of them. Don't forget that this Jamaica Labour Party and the Paul Chen Young is the first time they're taking, is the second time they're taking down the Jamaica people. The Jamaica Labour Party and the Paul Chen Young group is the second time they're carrying out this heist on the Jamaica people. In the 80s, up to the early 90s, they carried out that heist under Siaga deregulation. Hence, FinSAC had to be created to buffer that collapse that created by Siaga and Paul Chen Young and the Eagle Group, who robbed and raped Jamaica. The Cross-Criz walk away with billions. Billions, Omar Davis. Billions, Siaga. Billions. Here comes again the same Cross-Criz and Wayne Chen Young under a new name raped the Jamaica people, including 12 million US of Dr. Bolt's money. And you despicable Jamaica Labour Party supporter. Yes, Paul Chen Young helped Andrew for thief, for Bolt money. Yes, that's how it go. If you want to go roll in a dot, go on, go roll in a dot. But Andrew Holness is the one who stole Bolt money. Andrew Holness is the one who is responsible for Bolt money. If I don't him, then sue me, Prime Minister. You're only for thieving money where you can pay a legal fee. But until Andrew Holness can tell where Bolt money is, just like how when Andrew Holness get the insider information from Nigel that SSL is going down, Andrew take out him money, and they did not announce to the nation. They allow everybody money to go under, including Mr. Bolt life saving. Disgraceful. Disgraceful. Look at the thief on screen. Marissa Dalwymper Filbert. She resigned because she was caught stealing. She came back with her case in front of the court. Came back, steal Rada Potato and sell Rada Potato. And today, the potato thief, the money thief, pled guilty in court and was fined, I think, almost $1 million. This is the Jamaica Labour Party, barefaced thieves. Barefaced thieves, incompetent criminals. So they can't even do it good, you know. It's only to we have a corrupt system. Because they can't commit any crime good. Because rat, nyam out. Just like how rat nyam out the receipt them down the local government offices, the same way rat nyam out on an ambition. Marissa Dalwymper Filbert is a thief. She's a criminal. We can safely call the bitch that without she telling us, oh, I'm going to sue you. No, bitch, you're a thief and a criminal. You ought to resign. And she continued thieving because she a thief, potato. So she come back and a thief rather potato sell. Marissa Dalwymper Filbert have no shame. On the matter of Marissa Dalwymper Filbert, what is GLA, General Legal Counsel, going to do about the thief, the criminal? Will there be a case pulling up Marissa Dalrymple Filbert in front of the General Legal Counsel, because the General Legal Counsel pull up ISAT when ISAT sings say Paula figure suck cartel dick. It's just a song. So now that Marissa Dalrymple Filbert is a convicted criminal, a thief, a convicted criminal, a thief, a potato thief, a rather potato thief, Marissa Dalrymple Filbert must resign. She has no credibility. We cannot trust Marissa Dalrymple finger or tongue because she lie and she thief. Marissa Dalrymple Filbert is a liar and she's a thief. We cannot trust the words or the finger of Marissa Dalrymple Filbert. Bridget, you must Jamaican. You know one rope when you're in Palatine rope? Palatine rope a trang rope. At that me I go buy if it tie you the morning after election, you know, Bridget. Come in, no say all heap on go attempt to jump. And we're going to have to tie you to lamp post because and say we don't ambulance for call for taking up car go Ward 21 and Bellevue. So me I go pick up donation for buy Palatine rope. Because we're going to have to tie all heap on to light post and tree for save you know. Bridget, me say we're going to have to tie all the pound to light post and tree for no killing yourself after election morning because say the amount of no go try jump, it will take all the power for hold on. But then again, me understand the political dogmas and all that. Me know say it's just a motor. Let me tell you the younger way the honor can win a third term. Is by stealing and buying. But on a fair level, this prime minister cannot win an answer story. It's the truth. If it's a fair game, this prime minister, beat and teach, how you do, Dwayne Johnson. This prime minister, if it's a fair game, this prime minister with no credibility, this prime minister with all sorts of fraud, corruption, tax evasion, financial crimes, bolt money and everything, mash up economy, mash up road, we're sleeping on floors in hospital. We cannot buy food. No say now go win. But me not expect on a labor right. The truth is me don't expect on if you come out here and say, why Andrew go when it look bad. No, what I expect you to do is to criticize your leader constructively. Because maybe I think sometime if the party was constructively criticizing the prime minister, he would have done better. But because he's got the wailing noise of mosquitoes behind him, Marie, thank you very much. Because the prime minister got a wailing noise of mosquitoes behind him, him just carry on, and I play the mosquito drum ahead of the crowd. But if we don't give him constructive criticism, maybe some of him hell-bent approach what don't make sense, where every day I have to come out and tell a new lie to buttress the first lie. This prime minister cannot win a fair election. It is why the prime minister grab on an electoral commission. It is why the prime minister strong arm the office of the political ombudsman. It is why the prime minister hold on pandemic. Because all of the things that the prime minister was championing to say, look at me, sliced bread of the century. His good economic management, his low unemployment rate, his road network, his new social housing. Do you realize that the Prime Minister is in a pickle? Leave the Prime Minister integrity and corruption aside at the moment. Do you realize that all of those four bright, shiny spark, the Prime Minister is in a pickle with this, with all of these at the moment? What may I tell you about Clinton? We're not talking about PJ. PJ is the past. PJ Patterson cannot make decision to affect my life now. Uno Labour Party live in the analog days where Uno want to go back and fix the last 18 years. I cannot do that. Andrew Holness was elected to fix that 18 years, because when Andrew Holness campaigned, he campaigned on the dereliction of PJ Patterson and Portia Simpson and how he is going to fix them. So don't come tell me about PJ 18 year. No, the current government fix all issues at hand. Let us talk about the issues at hand that affect us. The 18 years ago, it's not affecting me now. The decisions taken by Andrew Holness now is affecting me. Like when Andrew Holness decided to build a concrete house on lease land and then leave two family somewhere down the road to have either lent illegal debacle or mash it, switching and swashing all over the place. These are the decisions that affects us now that we want to talk about. Like the Prime Minister, since him coming up power, him roll back the road maintenance grant and we road them fall apart because they weren't proper. These are the things we want to talk about. Like we don't have enough bed in our hospital. Like we don't have enough diagnostics in our healthcare. These are the things that we want to talk about. Like we are being saturated with crime. Police are shooting us left, right, and center. The gangsters are shooting us left, right, and center. The police are extorting us. The gangsters are extorting us. These are the things we want to talk about. Me know in the past, we don't know. Only labor right can't live in the past. That's why you cannot get anywhere. Because you are in the past. You know how I live? I live within the moment. Every moment for me is continuous. Even the past that you go back into, it is the continuous present moment. This is the only moment you have labor right. This one that you're in. You cannot do nothing about the past nor the future. You can plan to make the future better, but you cannot plan to make the past better. Forget about the past and stop being dunce. You all have been doing it every day, and it makes you all look so fool and dunce. The past, the past, the past, the past, the past. How are you going to fix the past if you don't engage the present? How not done so? Jesus Christ. Who teach you no? Who teach you? I must Marlene Mala afford teach you for done. Can't you get it good enough? You can only use the present to correct the past. So if you keep lamenting the past, the past, the past, the past, the past, it's the future that corrects the past. Stop worry about the past. Live in the moment. That's why no life can't move forward. Because I live 18 years ago, I'm living for now. I'm in my present. That's why I'm current. I don't behind time now like a rassish. Like Uno. I talk about 18 years, PJ, Michael, Manley, brrr. No. Doesn't benefit me at all. Doesn't benefit none of us. What benefits us is to encourage the government. Rupert, go suck your mama. What benefits us is moving into our presence. All right? Moving into our presence. That's what benefits us. Labor can't get me go back in the past with them. Them not go to school, me go to school. Happy Valentine, Prime Minister. So you have a heart of pothole of water to deal with. Happy Valentine, Prime Minister. See your aunt there. So we send your aunt. So we send your aunt for Valentine's Day, Prime Minister. All right, I'm going to sound now like I'm in the defense of Andrew Holness, but I'm not. Many people would have been, I heard many people asking the question yesterday, how and why the Prime Minister was not walking next to his wife, baby mother, housemate, call it what you will. Now, in the state opening of ceremony, Juliet Holness, as the First Lady, and as the, what's you call her, the Speaker of the House, she have a separate ceremonial role to the Prime Minister. In the Westminster ceremonial, she would have been required to be in Parliament prior to that jig-majag that they have. So that was probably why they weren't walking together, even though it still would make no sense whether if they're a couple or not. But it would have been the two ceremonial role of the two head of the two separate branches. Hold on there. Did we have anything else to deal with? But Andrew Holness, you cannot, it's an election year, you cannot continue with so much shoddy, baga. Of course, the PNP is now also bogged down by a corruption scandal, the Lawrence Rose scandal, which is making its round, but with nationwide credibility, it's not taking grounds as it would as the Prime Minister and Desmond McKenzie housing story, the estate bridge, the Prime Minister's integrity, Marised Alwimper-Filbert, now a convicted criminal. There's so much, Prime Minister. You cannot be coming to the nation and asking the nation to show clean hands, and then you come with dirty hands. On the same one, we prosecute Kippridge on his usual craft, on freedom of speech, on freedom of expression, and freedom of association. So therefore, if we are to apply the freedom of association rules as we now apply to Kippridge at the moment, then you're all criminal, like Marised Alwimper-Filbert, isn't it? If we're to apply the association tactics wanna apply to Kippridge, then on a criminal like Marised Alwimper, what a disgrace. The former Speaker of the House, an attorney at law, Member of Parliament, recently re-elected, returned to stealing and selling rather potatoes, was convicted and fined in the courts today. Does Marised Alwimper-Filbert have the credibility to contest the next general election? Chelsea, if you don't want email no quarrel, don't call Cliff journalist. Cliff is a vlogger. Cliff Hughes is a vlogger. Repeat after me. Cliff Hughes is a vlogger. Cliff Hughes is a vlogger. All right? Don't call him so. Don't use the word journalism. Same as a disgrace to vlogging. Tell us that Cliff Hughes is a disgrace to vlogging, not to journalism. A vlogging Cliff though. This year one ya Ivy named Rupert, Rupert, what he call himself? But them labor right people, yeah, them very tormented. They keep asking silly questions rather than just engage with the facts. You know? They really hate to deal with the facts. I mean, some of the questions they ask, like one asked me earlier about what has Marissa Dalrymple Filbert done? I mean, that's a very stupid question. You can't ask me that. Ask Marissa Dalrymple Filbert why she pled guilty. Ask Marissa Dalrymple Filbert why she pled guilty. You can't ask me that. I know me force Marissa to plead guilty. If the court did find Marissa guilty, maybe you could say it's a cook-up. But she pled guilty. What did Marissa plead guilty for? And that we tell the labor right them all the while say, when you ask these questions, even if you not ask them as the devil advocate, it make you look so stupid. It make you look unread. It make you look half researched, if at all. I mean, you all have children that you all tell them, I want you to make sure you take in your education and become somebody. You know, no matter how educated you are, you know, the truth matters. Honestly, the Prime Minister very educated, can no one call his name unless you say Dr. Andrew Holness. But no don't understand, say, no, it's not Dr. Andrew Holness, it's Andrew Holness DLP. But then again, I would even understand what the DLP means. Because an honorary doctorate is not a PhD. A PhD is a doctorate. An honorary doctorate is an honor. You're not a PhD graduate. It's not a title that you use every time and everywhere. Because you give people a wrong impression that you're a PhD graduate. You're not. Now, the upcoming graduation the Prime Minister will be having this year, the Doctor of Law and Policy is not a DR doctor. It's a DLP, and that DLP comes not before Andrew, but after Holness. Because you cannot say DLP Andrew Holness. The title is Andrew Holness DLP. Just like you would have said Wayne Forbes LLB. Because I can't put the LLB in front of my name. You understand? So the DR will not use in front of the Prime Minister name all the while, ought not to be used like that. The Prime Minister is not a PhD scholar. It's an honorary award, not to be mistaken with a PhD graduate who have gone to 6 years of postgraduate doctoral education. So when you're Dr. Andrew Oldness, Dr. Andrew Oldness, oh, please, cut it out. It's Andrew Holness, DLP. And you look, when Andrew Holness' name is written on things, if you doubt me, go and look if it's not. And even though I put the DR in front, but the DLP comes after Holness, which is his right academic title. The DR is an honorary title, it's not an academic title. But you all are using it every day as if it's an academic title. It's not. It's an honorary, not academic. They are two different things. So now start guitar. Dr. Andrew Oldness. Dr. Andrew Oldness. No, it's Andrew Oldness, DLP. It's not in all cases that he should use the DR as an honorary. It gives the impression to people who do not know that he is either a medical doctor or a PhD scholar, which he's not. So, Chelsea said the only doctorate you can't have in a criminality. But Labour Party, Cliff Hughes, Zenisha Phillips, and the Andrew Holness government, there's more of us than there are of you. And the day Mr. Bolt ready, we will be leading protests on Jamaican embassy globally. Mr. Bolt have that global support. The day Mr. Bolt ready for us to take to the street, we will be demonstrating outside every Jamaican embassy. And the placards going through the city of countries around this world will bring Jamaica into disrepute. We are ready. We are ready. Because I be a thief and criminals. If Marissa Dalrymple Filbert as a woman has any integrity, if Marissa Dalrymple Filbert has any integrity as a legal scholar, she should do the honorable thing. You make our profession look cheap, even though I'm not an attorney, Marissa, but you know I've spent years just like you studying in the legal field. You're an embarrassment. You are an embarrassment. And the General Legal Counsel ought to take action against this disgraceful criminal, against this thief, against the robber of the public purse, the disgraceful convict, Maria Trump. The disgraceful convict, Marissa Trump, the criminal in the legislative chamber. Thank you all very much for being here tonight with us on the Global Television Group. Lovely to have your support as always. Holy Paddy Labor right them turn out over TikTok tonight. Some of them with their feather ruffled and rantled, but who bloody well cares? Who bloody well cares how disgruntled the Jamaica Labour Party wants to be? They're disgraceful, they're despicable, and a low piece of filth of the earth. Because the treatment that the Jamaica Labour Party and the government and their supporters and their vlogging media channel over Bradley Road is dishing out to Mr. Bolt, the Jamaica Labour Party and its supporters have driven lower than a piece of stale shit. Thank you very much for being here with us tonight on the Global Television Group. Lovely to have your support as always. And send the message loud and abroad. We're not going to stop until Mr. Bolt get back his money, or we're not going to stop until we bring Jamaica into international disrepute, the corrupt country that we live in. Thank you very much, and good night from the Global Television Group.
If you don't like missing out on the latest shows but still enjoy classic hits, then Global TV Group 358 is your perfect match. Global TV Group 358 isn't just another channel, it's your ultimate TV experience. From breaking news to binge-worthy dramas and timeless classics, we've got it all. Our unique blend of original content and global favorites means there's something for everyone. And guess what? With GTVG's seamless streaming, you can watch anywhere, anytime. Plus, our interactive features let you be part of the action. So, whether you're a seasoned binge watcher or a casual viewer, Global TV Group 358 is here to keep you entertained day and night. Don't just watch TV, experience it with Global TV Group 358. Subscribe now and never miss a moment.